in the theoretical subjects will be a time limit, and that time limit includes also the time for uploading. So perhaps for the three or four, I'm not sure, 3 subjects, I guess I'm going to give you perhaps these 3 or 4 subjects. It's I guess I'm going to give you 4 subjects. Sorry, here is I'm going to correct this. I'm going to give you 4 subjects, so you have to upload for photocopy. After you completed this step, you will have a 5 minutes break, and after then, inside the team exam meeting, we are going to give you a link to a Google form which contains the practical subjects. Also, you will get a period of time, perhaps 2 hours and a half or 2 hours and 15 minutes. And in this time, you have to complete the solving of those 2 problems. And also you have to upload the code. You may want to zip your code and upload that code. Then you have to wait in the exam meeting with both OBS Ninja services running until we will evaluate you. The evaluation means one of my colleagues is going to, or me, is going to evaluate your practical exam, and you will get a grade. After you get that grade, you can close the step number 8. You can close the OBS Ninja services, and you will come to the final grade meeting. That will be another channel where together with me we are going to compute your final grade. I mean, including the grade from the lab, including your contribution of the seminar, and after then we'll compute the final grade that I'm going to introduce at that moment. I will introduce in academic info. After then, step 9, you can leave the teams and your exam is complete. You have to follow all these steps in order to have a final exam completed. Otherwise, I cannot give you the final grade for the final exam. Questions if you have. So I just a summary. You enter into yeah, please.
Yes. In the step 4, is it mandatory to be photocopy, or is it enough with just a photo?
What is the? Yeah, there is a type there. No, copy means means just a photo copy. I mean, you just photo your paper on your phone, and after then you just upload from your phone directly.
Okay, thank you.
Or if you have a scanner, in that case, you just scan it and. But perhaps no scanner, just photo your subject. But the subject will be very short, so you just need one physical paper, and put your ID there, ID card, and submit.
Okay.
So just a summary. You have to come into that exam channel. You have to stay there for the entire period of the exam. You have to open those 2 services, and you have to keep running those 2 services, OBS Ninja, and also during the break. So those services must run. If something happens, perhaps I have to add that something happens. I mean, if your connection is interrupted more than 5 minutes, in that case, your exam will be cancelled, and you have to come to another day with other colleagues. On the other hand, please come with your group. If there are something special situation, please let me know in advance, because you are your number is very high, and it's very difficult for us to monitor you and to evaluate. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
So there will also be a meeting in this channel, and we will also have to give you links from our camera and from our share screen.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, thank you.
Because using those services from OBS Ninja, we are going to monitor your activity during solving the theoretical subject and practical subject. Through the Teams, you are going to communicate directly. So in the Teams, it's not necessary to open your camera. I mean, the camera is not. I mean, it's not necessary to open camera in the Teams. Okay.
Okay, I understood.
So the final exam is open book, but you are allowed to search, to look at some examples, or to look some. Also is allowed to copy some portion of your old code, of course, because the practical exam is on top of your old code. You can use it, but you are not allowed to communicate with others, to download code or answers from everywhere. So if you please prepare your project local on your computer, so to be not necessary to download from somewhere. And also please close all communication on social platforms on your machine during the exam. Okay. Well, actually will be, how many of us? Will be 4, me and other 3 colleagues, and perhaps 2 groups. How many students are in a group? 30 or 20?
30-ish, yes.
Okay, so that means around 60 students. So we are 4, so perhaps we can monitor you. Questions if you have. So again, the exam is open book, but with some restrictions. I'm going to correct that. So will be 4 subjects. So I was thinking to give you 40 minutes for the theoretical exam, and please respect the time, because in the Google Drive or in the Google form, I can set the fact that after the, or perhaps or either automatically or manually, I can close the form, so you will not be able to submit anything after the time period will expire. So you will get 4 problems. Each problem is 22.5 points. So there is no any points by default, because it's open book. So for the first problem, I'm going to give you either a diagram, class diagram, or a description where you have to write the code for 2 classes, a maximum with 2 methods or something like that. But there you have to pay attention to some concept of overriding, overloading, static, or something like that. On the second, in the second problem, I'm going to give you either to write a generic code or to explain the behavior of some generic code. And the problem 3, you have to write a small Java functional program, exactly what similar to what we have discussed. And for the 4th problem, I'm going to give you a small Java program, and you have to explain what happens at the compile time and the runtime. So it's very important for each subject to explain your decision and to explain your solution. This is very important. Why? Because if you will give a wrong answer, but the explanation is half correct, you will get points. Otherwise, I cannot give anything on that subject.
So this is all on paper?
Yeah, all this will be on 4 papers, 4 physical papers, but will be small examples. And 40 minutes will be more than enough. I mean, in these 40 minutes, you also have to upload, to make the photo, to take the photo, and also to upload the paper. For the practical exam, I'm going to give you 2 hours and 15 minutes. Both problem, the first problem will be a very simple one, will be 5 points. The second problem will be a more complex problem. We already discussed about this style at the seminar. So the first problem, in order to get, perhaps if you solve the first problem, for sure you will get 5, the minimum grade, and after then you have to continue with the more complex problem. Please use separate projects for each of these problems. After you finish the first one, please zip it and upload, and after then you continue with the second one. Okay?
So we need 2 different projects that we zip and send?
Yep. Yes. This is again is useful for you. Why? Because if you do some mistakes, those mistakes perhaps will not affect what you have done previously. And for the problems, in order to get the points, the problem must be compiled and must be run without any error. If you cannot compile a problem, or if you cannot run it, in that case you will get 0 points. Anyway, that will be written in the text of the problem.
Should the second project in which we solve the second problem have the first problem as well, or should they be separate?
I don't understand. I think I was very clear. You will get 2 problems on the same, I mean, on that interpreter. First problem you will solve in one project. After you complete it, you just zip that project and upload it. And after then you continue with the second problem. You complete it, and after then you zip and upload it. And after that you upload it. Is it clear or?
So at the end we'll have both problems 1 and 2 solved inside the same project. That's what I was asking.
No, in 2 different projects.
Okay, good. Okay, now I get it.
As I said, please solve them in separate projects and submit them separately in different zip archives. Other questions? So I know it's quite difficult, but that's it for the moment. If you did your assignments, the exam will be quite simple. The theoretical part is not so difficult. You don't need to memorize or to. It's enough to understand the concept, and those small examples that you have to write on the paper are just some example of the main concepts that we have discussed. Anyway, after this discussion, we are going to run through the lectures in order to see what you need what is important for the theoretical exam. Of course, for the practical exam, it's important what you have done in that interpreter. And as we already discussed at some, at the beginning of December, and the seminar, it's possible to get some problems, but the practical problem will be described in detail. And for each functionality that you have to implement, you will get also the points that you can get if you do the implementation in a correct way. So will be something very similar with your assignments. Very clear what you have to do, where you have to modify. So the style will be the same. But in summary, you have to stay both in the Teams and also those two OBS Ninja services must running on your computer. Questions? Is it clear? Anyway, I have to correct that typo, but I'm going to correct and upload, and I will upload the corrected version because I said 4 problems. Actually, it will be 4 problems because your 3 problems I'm going to give to the mathematical and informatics line, not to you. Okay, if you don't have questions, let me remind you something, and let me see. So first of all, the rules of this course. At the beginning, I told you that the grading will be in this way. So the lab activity is 35% of the final grade. Seminar activity is 5%, and the final exam is 60% of the final grade. And here 20% is the theoretical exam, and the practical exam is 40%. For the lab, each assignment is, all the assignments are equal. So how many assignments did you have? 7, right?
Yes.
So that means each assignment is 5% from the final grade. So so that is the contribution of each assignment. But of course, because the final practical exam is based on your lab work, your lab work is more important than those 35%. Please take a look at also to your attendance in order to respect the rules. You know the rules. I think you are allowed you must attend it minimum 10 seminar and 12 labs. Of course, when in those dates when there was official holiday, those means those dates mean attendance for you. I think that
a question.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I have 2 questions. The first one is if it's a minimum for the theoretical and practical exam.
5.
5. Okay. And where can we check our attendances for this seminar? Because for the labs, is there a doc? But for the seminars, I don't know.
I asked my colleague Radu to share the attendance. If you have some if something is not clear, perhaps you just send a message to him on the chat here in Teams if you are not sure if the number of attendance is correct or not.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So for the final exam, in order to pass the final exam, you must have at least 5 at the final theoretical exam, at least 5 at the final practical exam, and the final grade must be at least 5. Okay, according to those to that rule, I mean to those percentage that I told you before. Okay. The other rule is you either pass the entire exam, I mean both theoretical and practical part, or you fail. If let's say at the theoretical exam you will get a grade that is less than 5, in that case it's not necessary to, I mean you can leave you will leave the exam, because the final practical exam doesn't really matter because you already failed to pass this exam. And even in the next session, which in Romanian is called restanță, when you come, you have to do to pass both exam, theoretical and practical. If you like to, if you perhaps you are the day of the exam will not be a very good day for you, and perhaps the grade will not be so high as you expect, it's possible to come in the restanță to increase your grade. But in that case, you have again to take the final theoretical exam and the final practical exam, and after that we'll compute your new grade. And if your new grade is less than grade that you already got in the normal session, you will remain with the maximum between these two grades. This is my rule, actually. You will keep the maximum grade. Okay. Other questions, if you have? So the dates for the exam will be in 2 weeks' time, 25th, 26th, 27th, and 28th. 4 days. Okay, is it clear? I mean, this organization of the exam?
I guess
Yes,
so.
it's clear.
Anyway, if you have some question, please don't send me email. Please write here in this channel, lecture channel. Okay, and I'm going to answer, and my answer will be seen by all of you. So it's better to write here. Okay. So now I like to run through the lectures in order to emphasize what is important, especially for the theoretical exam. For the practical one, you already know what you have to do. Even for the theoretical one, I mean, from that short description, perhaps you can get the idea. So in the first lecture, we introduced the Java basics. So these are very simple things, but perhaps it's good to take a look. So those problems, the first problem and the last problem from the theoretical part of the final exam will be some examples of this concept. Perhaps you may take a look at the classes, concepts, classes, primitive data, passing arguments, array, polymorphism. So this lecture, overloading, overwriting, inheritance, static, non-static, how to pass the data, the array. So all these interfaces, abstract classes. So all this lecture you have to read. It's not necessary to memorize Okay, this is not, sorry. So lecture 1 is important. Lecture 2, where we discuss about just a moment, this connection is quite slow. So here again we discuss about exceptions, about downcasting, the interfaces, instance of operator, packages, exceptions. So also this is important. Please take a look. It's possible to give you something related to downcasting, and you have to explain me what is the behavior, what happens. Also about exception, I mean that rule that all check exception must be declared, must be treated. So please read also this lecture. Lecture number 3. Lecture number 3 is about generics. So the generics I consider an important part. So take a look at all these parts and try to understand even that part that we discussed at the seminar. Please take a look and see the examples that are here and also in the seminar. Wildcards, it's possible to give you some. For sure, one problem will be from here, from the generics part. Okay. From the collection, this is important for your project. From here, perhaps I can give you some collection, but in the theoretical stuff, I don't know if I can give you some tricky things from here. Okay. So the generics is important for sure. One subject is coming from there, and the other subject is coming from the first 2 lectures. Week lecture 4. Java I/O operations. I'm not sure if from here I can give you something. Perhaps that problem, when you open something, you have to close. So perhaps I can give you some example in order to be sure that any open resource is closed, and other things I don't know if I can give you from here, but please take a look also to this lecture. Lecture number 5. Is the functional programming. From here, for sure, you will get you will get a problem for sure. So perhaps the difficulty of that problem will be at the level of this example, where what we have here, we have a list, then we have a stream, a filter, a map, a sorting, and after then we close the stream and we print the result. Perhaps I can ask you to explain how the execution of this in few words, of course. So please take a look at the let's say demand-driven execution of this Java functional streams. So these lectures is important. Lecture number 6. Lecture number 6 about concurrency. So this lecture and the next lecture are also important. So please take a look at them. It's possible to give you a program, a multi-threaded program, and to ask you what happens or what is the result in that way. And perhaps I can either I can use some very simple threads, or I can use some synchronization mechanism, either a monitor, and so on. So it's good to take a look at this. Lecture 7, 8. Here we continue the discussion about the concurrency. Also, this is important. Perhaps I can use a semaphore countdown latch, and you have to understand its execution and to explain me what happens with that program. About the serialization, no, I guess this we can skip it. Isn't week 8. It's the same, okay. So let's look at the lecture 9. So in lecture 9, we started the Java FX. So from here, this part is important for your project. For the theoretical part, I'm not going to give you something from here. Lecture 10 is the same about Java FX. And starting from week 11, we started the discussion about C#, and these C# Scala lectures are not required for the final exam. So actually, there are not so many lectures that you have to really read or you have to pay attention. There are a few lectures, especially those from the beginning. But the idea is I'm going to somehow to check the understanding of the main concepts by some simple examples that either you have to write or you have to explain the behavior. So this is the way that I choose to evaluate you in the theoretical part. In the practical part, I'm going to ask you to add some more functionality to our interpreter. But those functionality are going to be described very clear and in detail. I mean, you have to add one more table to the program state. That will be perhaps 0.5 points or so on. Okay. Questions if you have.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, please.
You told that if the program doesn't execute, we get 0 points. But what happens if the text interpreter works but not the interface works?
Here I changed a bit my mind. Why? Because for your colleagues from the mathematics and informatics line, for those colleagues, my requirement is to run both. I mean, to run also the graphical interface. So that will be also for you.
Okay.
In the last year, I just said if it's not running the graphical interface, perhaps the maximum grade that you can get is 7 or something like that. No, I like to see at least a part of the graphical interface must work somehow.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Anyway, this will be explained also in the text of your practical subject.
Sure.
Other questions? In case you have other questions, because our exam will be in the second week of the session, please put the question in this channel, and I will try to answer. So that's all. I don't know what other things that I have to explain. So good luck for your exam. I hope the exam will not be so difficult for you. My intention is to because of this situation, but also before the pandemic, exam at this discipline were open book, except the theoretical part. But now also the theoretical part is somehow open book. But that is the main change now, because there I'm going to give you some examples, either to read, either to explain, or to write. Otherwise, if I ask you to explain what is, let's say, how is working countdown latch, that is quite easy. You just open your slides and copy from there. So that is not working. So the subject will not be difficult. I understand that it's quite difficult for you to, let's say, to learn during this period, but will be a kind of minimum level. And in order to pass the exam, you must be above that level. Thank you very much for the participation to this this discipline. Perhaps we are going to meet you in later, either at the diploma or perhaps in the last year, or at the master or a PhD, or we'll see. So good luck for your exam, and if you have any problem or any question, please let me know. So this was the last lecture, and that's all. Goodbye and good luck.
Thank you, and
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
So with
Bye.